As always, welcome to yet another informative video of the serial designer. And last week I had described 5 architectural concepts which you can use at a very academic and your design level. Similarly, today I'm here to discuss 10 interior design styles which you can use at your academic level and also at your pre-design level. And it is a very initial study of how to pick up concepts and what kind of concepts you can go for and which are safe to use at your level. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and never miss another update from us. Also, make sure you comment on the comment section and motivate others as well. The more the channel grows, the more you grow, and this is definitely my guarantee. Sort of a designer supporting a designer. In this world of collaboration, we need this idea. So, again, without any further ado, 10 ways in which you can create a mind blowing concept for your design studies. So the first one that I have in mind is a very, very traditional and a vernacular edge to your design. So some of the principles of design which you can use here are balance, symmetry, a little bit of hierarchy, a little bit of Indian elements. Say for example, some kind of jaroka, some kind of jhalis, pitched roof, and use of very organic material, julas for that matter, balconies, railings, wooden carved furniture, some kind of beautiful motifs of pichwai and motifs of floral elements, fauna elements, some kind of courtyards if it's a farmhouse or a holiday home. So some of these elements are very, very native. So you can always talk to your client and ask them if they want some elements which are inspired from their own native places into their designs. If not, you can use the locally available materials. You can use the locally available design styles for that matter. Some of these examples are very well showing elements and they are modern homes, but again they have some elements which are very, very traditional and inspired from them. So this design is typically very, very native to Indian design, you can say. Second style which you can go ahead with is modern slash contemporary. This is the design style which is very easy to bring forward, and a lot of magazines, Pinterest references you will find on this design. So modern versus contemporary, there's always a debate as to what is the better one, but I believe they are almost the same thing. Use of very statement pieces, basically use of some kind of fixtures, lights, very clean lines, a very open plan, use of minimal furniture, good openness to a space, and very natural light, nothing which is very edgy. Even the patterns and the colors which are used are very, very muted. So unlike the traditional and the vernacular design, there are no motifs here. Even the patterns which are used are very geometric, and the textures which are used are extremely on point. Also, the layering of the textures is done in such a way that it does not look bulky at all. Again, it is very, very important that you hit the brief bang on. It is very easy to clutter a space. So modern contemporary is basically designing with some kind of a pause. Again, some of the design principles which you can use here are balance, symmetry, a little rhythm, a little movement to the spaces will get you a long way. The third idea of interior design style is the idea of minimalism. Minimalism is something which is very, very raw, and at least in the younger generation, people are really appreciating this idea because it helps you declutter, it helps you organize yourself, it keeps you very clean. And I know in the Indian household it is very difficult to achieve this minimalism idea because we have a lot of furniture going on, we have a lot of guests coming over, but people are going on this idea of minimalism. Minimalism is basically decluttering your space, keeping it as organized as possible, using n number of organizers, clean lines, again fabrics, patterns are all muted, use of monocolors, so only one or two colors are used as accents, else the background is plain. And some of the very few characteristics of this kind of design are use of very minimal one or two patterns maximum, very minimal looking furniture, nothing which is very bulky. So your floating elements, TV unit ho gaya, again it's a very floating shelf, small minimal looking floating shelves. Even the shoe rack has to be very, very minimal. Your entrance door has to be very, very minimal. No use of any kind of motifs, no use of any kind of extra sculptures and art, no extra styling which is required for this kind of design. Even the flooring which is used is extremely minimal looking, and it is monocolor. The fourth idea that I have in mind is the idea of industrial, and it is the favorite of a lot of students that I've met. So a lot of cafes and a lot of co-working spaces, corporate office are inspired from industrial designs, because industrial design is very easy to achieve. Basic characteristics of an industrial design are open ceilings, where your ducts, your firefighting units, and everything is well exposed. So the raw element of that particular space is exposed. Say you have a brick wall or something, so the brick wall would be probably exposed. And repurposing of a lot of materials, reviving the old with the new. Say for example, some lights are created, which are definitely made from, say, a simple rope and a bulb itself. So these are some of the small elements which you can use in your industrial. They are all made up statement pieces. So something which is repurposed, maybe some old cardboard boxes or old tires are used, and they are repurposed into making good furniture. Use of a lot of organic patterns, respecting the natural light, natural ventilation. So not a lot of use of artificial lighting, highlighting of beams, highlighting of columns, exposing the true nature of that particular structure element, and the design will give you a good industrial design. The fifth design is eclectic. Eclectic, again, very very easy design style to achieve. Eclectic is basically a fusion of some of the different styles. Say for example, if I have fused a little bit of modern and a contemporary design along with traditional elements and vernacular elements in a particular design, that design comes under the hat of eclectic, making the design work in harmony with each other. Each element works as a separate entity. Say for example, if you want a little bit of boho applied to contemporary, this will give you a nice eclectic charm. So working and balancing out fabrics, working and balancing out patterns, textures, will give you a good idea. This style has no particular rules, regulations, characteristics, so you can basically have a little fun. Some elements which are suddenly popping up, some parts of your design which are a little more ornamented than the rest, so you can sort of play with this design. Eclectic design is again very easy to spoil, so one has to be very careful when they are doing this kind of design. A little bit of irregularness is seen sometimes, but again, balancing out, working out different kinds of styles and furniture into one unit will give you a good design style. The sixth design style that I have in mind is tropical slash farmhouse or a holiday home design. And a lot of people have invested in a holiday homes in Lonavala, Alibag, and elsewhere. So some of the very good characteristics of this kind of style is letting in the natural light and ventilation come in, having huge windows, bigger curtains, and showing that kind of height, having a good double height living room, adding in a lot of greens, use of very very natural looking fibers, jute, cane, rattan, use of terracotta, clay, and very earthen looking elements, and even the tones and the colors, pastels which are used are very very muted. जैसे गेरुआ हो गया, so the color of गेरुआ can be accentuated 10x. Use of a lot of wood, use of rafters, use of mezzanine, and some of these elements are very very farmhouse and country, you can say. So when you even Google, you'll see a lot of ideas of country kind of furniture. We don't have countryside here, but again, tropical and farmhouse is very very similar to country. So even the color scheme of this particular kind of design is inspired from the sky, the earth, the forest. So all these things, natural elements are inspired, and even the patterns and textures are inspired from these elements. So in this you can use bold patterns, you can have motives in which there are a lot of use of animals, bigger motives. Just say if the monstera plant is something which you want to embrace, you can have a nice wallpaper of showing the jungle theme, or you can have a wallpaper showing complete different kinds of planters. So anyway, something which will speak nature is something you can give it a shot. Generally these designs are very very comfortable, soothing, because it connects you to nature in some way or the other. Seventh idea that I have in mind is Bohemian Boho theme. Boho theme is by far my favorite. It is very very difficult to achieve this pattern because not a lot of people are aware of this kind of style, but you can definitely go on Pinterest and you will find these elements somewhere in Kolaba. And a lot of designs nowadays are made along with this theme. A lot of furniture pieces, statement pieces are made behind this boho theme concept. Boho has something which is very important, is the idea of sentiments, the idea of storytelling. So some element which is say placed randomly on your shelf, but it the element that you place, the styling element that you place, has some kind of a story linked to it. There's a lot of layering of upholstery, throws ho gaya ya fir double triple curtains ho gaya. Even your sofa has some of extra elements, that is, some extra overalls, some extra coverings. So this layering of different kind of patterns, layering of different kind of upholstery will give you this kind of a style. Use of small elements, just a pearl, some statement antique pieces, some sculptures and art which is very very antique looking, you can use here. Like a cluster of small items which are collected from different places, just a small collection of Ganpati, or a small collection of different kinds of small miniature pieces, statues. All these small storytelling items will lead to a good boho theme of a lot of artwork. Bright colors, just say boho's favorite color is pink, so you can use various shades of pinks, reds, blues, for that matter, anything which is very bright and welcoming. A lot of yellows which you can use in boho as well. Sculptures, artwork is something definitely you should add in these kind of design. You can experiment with a lot of patterns and textures here, but again, it is very easy to overdo a boho theme, so you need to keep your balance as a designer. The eighth design concept that I have in mind is the idea of rustic, and I would also call it sustainable, because we are not necessarily trying to hide everything. We are not necessarily trying to hide all the flaws and cover it with different kinds of materials. Say for example, a plain log of wood can be used as a seating when it comes to a rustic design. A nice bark of a tree can be probably joined and be used as a dining area or a breakfast table. So something which is distressed, something which looks adaptive, something which is raw in finish, so you're not using a lot of material to probably cover the flaws of something which is looking very natural. Could use a lot of stone in here. Rustic definitely gives a little rough vibe to the space, so use of exposed brick, use of exposed stone, used of unpolished marble or unpolished sandstone will give you this texture. Even use of terracotta, for that matter, will give a little rustic appeal. It mostly has tones and finishes which are very earthy looking. गेरुआ हो गया, browns हो गया, lot of browns are used, whites are used, grays are used in this kind of design. Inspired from old looking temples, so something which is very very old, ancient, is revived in a very beautiful way. This will give you a good rustic overall finish. Fabrics which are used are extremely organic. Use of jute, rattan, bamboo, for that matter. You can use exposed bamboo, just polish it, place it on site, and small shelves which are again made up of bamboo. So something which speaks natural to you, earthy to you, and which does not require a lot of finishing and polishing, will give you a rustic feel. Metal which doesn't appeal very shiny, you don't need to polish the metal in that way, but using pieces, sculpture pieces which are metallic. Sometimes the furniture looks very bulky. Some consoles look very bulky because they have ornamented handles, ornamented sort of moldings. So all that things are a part of rustic. You don't need to work on the sleekness of that particular design. The design has to look a little bulky, a little heavy. The ninth idea, and it's a very simple idea, is the idea of biophilic. Biophilic is basically inspired from nature. You can use a lot of planters. The size of your planters can vary. You could have like a nice bird of paradise right in the middle of your living room, and it comes under the idea of biophilic. So use of planters, use of indoor air quality. As a client, as a user, you are being a part of nature. That is what the idea of biophilia is. Your colors, shapes, patterns, all of them are inspired from nature. Biomimicry is something which you can definitely go for when you are using biophilia in your design. Also, biophilic inspired furniture, biomimicry inspired some kind of products will definitely go forward in this kind of design. But the idea is to just improve the indoor quality of these. So biophilia is one concept which has literally picked up after COVID, because people have understood the value of living indoors. Small things, जैसे कि small parklets or a small balcony or a small green space into your design will give you wonders. What you're trying to do is you're trying to blur the boundary between the outside and the inside. In the process is you are letting in a lot of air, you are letting in a lot of fresh air through indoor planters as well, even natural light for that matter. You are dealing with cross ventilation here. You are making sure there is cross ventilation here just to improve the air quality and the quality in which humans are living. The 10th style is a very transitional style. Transitional style is basically leading from one style to another. So say for example, you are doing a modern contemporary home and you are leading on to vernacular. It's very fusion when it comes to designing. But again, if you're not really sure as to what exactly you want to design, you can definitely go forward with a very simple transitional design, wherein you are blurring boundaries between two kinds of designs. So you're playing here with any two kinds of patterns, two kinds of styles, and you are merging them into one. So it is very safe to use a transitional style of concept, the transitional style of design, because it is very easy to achieve. Transitional elements will include elements derived from the earth, some of the elements derived from metal, some of the elements which are derived from rustic. So blurring out boundaries between any two kind of design styles will give you a very good transitional style. So someone who is not willing to completely go rustic, they can have a sort of a merger between rustic and contemporary. So definitely it is safe to use both. So the blurring of boundaries between the two will give you the transitional design. So here are 10 ways in which you can make a very good interior design style and get inspired from any of the 10 ideas. Also, I have attached a lot of images to this particular video, and you can definitely go and refer. Also, Pinterest will give you 10 times the amount of information that I can give you here. So yes, get inspired, keep designing.